Hello everyone. In this class we will discuss on differences between TCP and UDP. As we know, we have covered many topics related to TCP and there are some other features and minimum features for UDP as well, and in this video you will explore what is TCP and what is UDP as well as their differences between. Clear? So let's start. You know what TCP stands? Transmission Control Protocol. UDP stands User Datagram Protocol. Clear? Now, Transmission Control Protocol, that means TCP, what does? At application layer, suppose this system, every device has application layer, presentation layer, session layer. Sometimes we say these layers as a application layer. Clear? Now, then we come at transport layer and network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. Now, this layer comes under transport layer. What does here? Two protocol words, one is TCP, other is UDP. It here data is big blocks. Clear? That means large blocks. When it comes, that means when application layer hand over the large block to transport layer, then basically it separate, it distinguish, it break the large block. Clear? This break the large block of information, because this is the information, this is the data. So this breaks into some parts. Clear? This breaks into some part known as segment. So this is segment. Clear? Then it is our duty, it is our duty to arrange this segment. It is duty of transport layer, it is duty of TCP to arrange the segment. How can you arrange? That means you will have to decide some numbers, you will have to give some numbers, some sequences, without numbers, without numbering. Can you know which segment is first, which segment is second? Clear? So it is our duty to ordering, to sequencing. So first point, we want to sequencing. Clear? Then ordering. Clear? Now After this segment, that means are sent on the transmitting host, TCP waits for an acknowledgement. This segment sent to this machine A and this machine B. Clear? Then when goes through, if B received this segment, then A want some acknowledgement. Is it this segment is received or not? How can A know? So A want only acknowledgement that I have given this segment to you and you have received or not. I want to know. I want to identify. I want to recognize. So it waits for acknowledgement. So waits for acknowledgement. Clear? Now that means retransmitting any segments that are not acknowledged. If A does not receive any acknowledgement for a particular particular segment, then A will retransmit the segment. A will retransmit the segment. So here one features also available for TCP, that is retransmitting. Clear? Retransmitting. Now before a transmitting, a host starts to send segment down to the model. Clear? That means the senders first establish a connection between these devices. That means relationship between A and B. Connections between A and B. Without connection, without knowing you, how can I send this segment? How can I send? If I have no information about you, how can I recognize that you are able to receive this? So this is very essential to establishing a connection. Clear? First, the next point will be establishing connection. Clear? Now what will be 6th point? Then proceed this features in another way. That means here it is not network layer, that which needs addressing. It is a transport layer. That means every device has own port, a particular port. That means if A want to access B at the same port, then and B also want to access the same port, because this is ordering application, presentation, session, transport, network, detailing, physical. Every devices, every data, every packet will follow this rule. because this is a OSI model and a reference and conceptual approach. It follow. Clear? Without following, it can this data cannot move. So this, because this is establishing a connection before transmitting the segment, then that means it is a connection oriented. This is the virtual circuit. This is a virtual circuit because it does not send any data. By the way, it is a assumption. Clear? Because both machines want information about each other. So first, these machines do not send any segment because they want to information about each other. Clear? So we can say that this type of communication is defined as connection oriented. Connection oriented. Clear? Now, during this, if you want to talk about connection oriented, that means three-way handshake as well as this establishing a connection is comes under three-way handshake. Three-way handshake. Clear? Now, that means TCP layers also agree on the amount of information that's going to be sent before the receiver TCP. Clear? That means after three-way handshake, we can confirm, say that we have established a connection, we are reliable, both are reliable, and if we have established a connection between each other, then we can say that this type of communication is a reliable communication. Clear? So these are the more features. If we now that means here TCP established connection, that means connection oriented on the basis of three-way handshake, so it is a reliable communication. That means both machines have full duplex communication. Both machines have full duplex communication. Clear? So we can say that this is one features also we will attach full duplex. Clear? Now, when we say full duplex, connection oriented as well as reliable, that means accurate protocol, but establishing all these terms and conditions in addition to error checking is no small task. So it is one feature which is a error checking as well as. Clear? And it is also for UDP as well. So error checking and error control. Clear? Now transmission control protocol TCP stands, that means it has error control and error checking. We have discussed about this TCP in previous video, but here our concern is related to provide differences between TCP and UDP. So we are writing this point, these features on the basis of differences. Clear? So TCP is a very complicated, and so it is not surprised. It is costly in terms of network overhead. Clear? Because it follow everything, every information, both devices we should have. We will create connection or reliable communication on the basis of three-way handshake before sending this segment. That means it has a full control, error checking, error control and retransmitting features. Then it will go under network overhead. So we can say that network but UDP does not network less overhead because it does not needs any reliable communication. It doesn't means we are emphasizing that UCP UDP does not give any reliable data. It gives reliable data, but reliable in process, it is not mandatory for UDP. Clear? Now, most programmers use TCP because it removes a lot of programming work on the basis of TCP. But for real-time video and voice over IP, usual datagram protocol is often better because at that time it will be better because using its result in less overhead. Clear? So the features come here. We will create a differences between here. First point, it is not as a same as. Here we will create differences. It is sequencing, it is not sequencing. Clear? It is not sequencing. It is ordering, it is not ordering. That is the features. It is reliable communication? No, it is not a reliable communication. Clear? It has acknowledgement. It does not. UDP does not needs any acknowledgement. If it does not have any acknowledgement, we can say it will not a retransmitting feature. So here we are talking network overhead, then low, here network overhead. So here uh, high, here high, here low. Clear? Now here we will include some more features. Clear? Here we will include some more features. Here look at these features. So here sequencing, so not sequencing as well, again we are repeating, not reordering, no acknowledgement, no read transmit, and UDP does not need any virtual connection, so no establishing a connection, no connection oriented. It will be connection less, we can say that one more term, connection less. And so no three-way handshake. This is unreliable communication. Full duplex, no need full duplex. Clear? That means no error here, no, here network overhead is low, here network overhead is a high, so no flow control, no winnowing, just is a opposite from type of features. Clear? Now this is the features according the point wise. Here that means we can say that it follow every rule, it does not follow every rule. So it will be slow, it will be faster. So sometimes we do not say slow, we say it is reliable, it is a faster. Clear? It is a reliable or it is a faster because it uses only some data, does not need any large amount of data. Clear? So it is important to know how this process works, because if the segments arrive out of order, which is commonplace in IP networks, that will be simply passed up to the next layer in which order they were received. Clear? On the other hand, TCP sequence the segments so they get put back together in exactly right order. Multiplexing and demultiplexing also the features for this. Clear? That means first it will separate the data, then again after receiving it will rearrange the data, rearrange the segment. Clear? This is the whole features. Now we should take some features like that, such that we use what is the on the basis of format of TCP segment format and UDP segment. We have covered TCP segment format and TCP header in previous video. Now here we will tell you some basic understanding related to UDP features, UDP segment format. Clear? Now here we will create this format. here. This segment, as we know, every time segment and for transport layer, for network layer, that will be the collection of 32 bits rows. Clear? So first we will create a first row where in UDP that will be 32. Here source port and destination port 16 bit and 16 bits, both port has 16 bits. And we have discussed about source port and destination port in previous video. Now then here some other features for 16 bit for length, that means header length, for length, and 16 bit for checksum. Clear? Then this field comes under data. So we can see that this is 32 bits, this is 32 bits, that means 4 bytes. So this will be 4 bytes. Now total will be 8 bytes. So total will be 8 bytes. If you want to compare on the basis of format, then UDP is 8 bytes and TCP will be 20 bytes to 60 bytes. Clear? This will be 20 to 60 bytes and this will be 8 bytes. Clear? This is also the features. Now, as we know, TCP does not trust any layer, so it has own checksum field, as well as UDP has a checksum field. Clear? Now here we have discussed about on the basis of header and the basis of some reliable features, we compare TCP and UDP. Now which type of protocol is used by TCP and UDP and both? This is also the comparison to understand TCP and UDP. Now, when we use telnet, generally we use TCP. Clear? It is used by TCP. Which port this telnet is used? 23. Now, HTTP is used by TCP, which port number is 80. Now, if you talk about FTP, where 20 and 21 is used. Now, HTTPS, if you talk about HTTPS, which port? 443. Now, SSH 22 number port. Here, when we use FTP in TCP, then here TFTP is used. Clear? Now, DSCP is used DSCP use 67 number port, and if you talk about TFTP, this is used 69 number port. Now NTP, here it is used 123 port network time protocol. Now only one, I think only one is the DNS, which is used 53 port, 53 number port. It is used by both. Clear? It is used by both TCP and UDP as well. That means it option for one or the other depends on what is trying to do. Even though it is not only application that can use both protocols, it is certainly one that you should make sure to remember in your studies. So we have cleared about this port and this protocol, which protocol used by TCP and UDP as well as both we have covered. Clear? As well as we have covered TCP header and UDP header. This class is very useful to develop understanding, and because interviewer ask related to TCP and UDP and their comparison, generally they want to know every information, every nook and corner. So here we have not provided nuts and shell, nut and bolt. We have provided everything. I think in whatever in my mind, I provide everything with dedication. So it's your duty to learn every point and explore everything. Now guys, this is the previous video, and this video will be very helpful to understand transport layer, TCP header, UDP header, and this is completed. Now we will in coming videos we will provide the some real scenario on the basis of Wireshark tool, where we will covered which type of flags, which type of data is transmitted over these layers and received by this. That will be very helpful to understand, to correlate these things in a real scenario and some theory classes. Clear? I think this will be very important. So guys, thank you for your dedication and for your support. Thank you guys.